On this episode of The Businesswoman, we will be talking with three leading ladies: Mosun Bello Olushoga, Chairman Access Bank; Abike Dabiri Erewa, Nigerian politician and former member of the Nigerian Federal House of Representatives, and the founder and CEO of the Chair Center Group, Chairman designates First Bank Ibukun Awushika.
She began her career as a trainee accountant with the then Messrs. Coopers and Chartered Accountants in 1980, where she excelled by topping her class in the qualifying professional exams. Upon her qualifying as an accountant, she joined the then Continental Merchant Bank, CMB Limited, where she worked in budget and finance, corporate banking, credit and marketing departments. As a thoroughbred professional, Mrs. Bello Olushoga was specially chosen as a team member who worked with Accenture to develop the Continental Merchant Bank's strategic plan.
In 2012, the Central Bank of Nigeria was working with banks to ensure that a certain percentage of the position of senior management and board members were reserved for women. But beyond just filling quota, we have seen more competent women rise up to the fore.
Choosing the 5 female directors was not about quota or anything. It was about merit. So when vacancies arose, we just decided to fill the vacancies by competent women. So we had people that were not actual bankers but had a different viewpoint. And for diversity, it's very important for anybody because it makes you think in another set of ways, right? So that was our thinking, that who can we bring to the board to bring a new flair, but was also women, because Central Bank at that time actually said, look, they were encouraging boards to have more women on board. So as soon as a vacancy arose, we'll look for a competent woman. And there are lots of competent women around, so it was very easy to fill with women.
You spoke about there being an abundance of competent women. So what took the board so long to fill those spaces?
Honestly, it's also the women having confidence in themselves, because what women do is that we're a little bit hard on ourselves, and when positions arise, we don't usually believe that we have the competence, or we're a little bit self-serving and saying, oh, maybe we're shy of responsibilities. But now more and more women are coming forward, and also it does depend on the heads of the organizations, because a man who wants a woman to be in a peer-like situation has to be self-confident, right? So you should have self-confident CEOs and chairmen. They won't mind females coming in. Or if you lack self-confidence, you won't want somebody who is perceived to be senior or superior. So I think more and more, if you have self-confident chairmen, you have competent women, and the world is also becoming very, very inclusive. Access Bank is into sustainable banking, into inclusive banking, and we have to be seen to walk our talk.
I don't know if you've read the book Lean In by Sheryl Sandberg, that is the CEO of Facebook. She advises women to deliberately aim for the glass ceiling. What is your take on that?
Be self-confident, get prepared, be competent, because you know when you're competent, you'll be confident because you have the ability, and pat yourself on the back from time to time. Make yourself available to take more responsibilities. Don't shy from responsibilities, and also don't be afraid to fail, right? But you have to learn from your mistakes and fail forward. That is what I call it, right? Don't be afraid to take risks, right? If you don't take risks, nothing ventured, nothing gained. So make yourself available, put yourself in responsible positions, so that when vacancies occur, then you're ready to take the position.
You've been in this industry for a while. I believe it is tasking and requires long hours. How do you balance the pressure from home and that of work?
It's about priorities. Set your priorities right. You might have to wake a lot earlier. I'm a morning person, so on the average, I wake at 4:30, 4:30, so I get my things done very much early. Some people are night workers, so you have to determine what works for you, right? What works for you, and just keep at it.
So tell me, what is your leadership style?
I'm a nurturer, and I make no no apologies about that. I'm a mother, so, but I'm also very disciplined, right? So I encourage people, I mentor people, I would support people, but I won't pamper them. So so it's nurturing, it's being supportive, but also putting things in perspective. So be disciplined. But once you're disciplined and you have your goals in mind, you'll be okay.
Dabiri Erewa attended Maryland Primary School, Maryland, Ikeja, for her primary school education and St. Teresa's College, Ibadan, for her secondary education. She obtained a first degree in English language from the University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University, OAU, Ile-Ife. She obtained a postgraduate diploma in mass communication and also a master's degree in mass communication from the University of Lagos, Akoka. She also studied at the John F. Kennedy School of Government, Harvard University. She is a former member of the Nigerian Federal House of Representatives, representing Ikorodu constituency in Lagos State. She was the chairman of the House Committee on Media and Publicity. She was also the former chair of the House Committee on Diaspora Affairs. She was elected for the first time in 2003 and re-elected in 2007 and 2011.
In the Nigerian political scene, women usually constitute a smaller percentage of political party membership because of the social, cultural, and religious issues. But even in cases where these stereotypes are overcome, the notion that politics is a dirty game just for men holds a lot of women back. Abike encourages the Nigerian woman who considers an elective post to go for it.
It's going to continue to be male-dominated if the women don't stand up and step up and take a decision. It's not easy. You know, when I decided to contest elections, it wasn't easy. I had to retire. It was a risk, but it was a risk that paid off. Would it pay off all the time? I don't know, but I took the risk anyway. And, you know, first is this something you want to do? Don't do it because I'm doing it. Do it because it's always been in me to do something like that, but I didn't know it would result in contesting elections. I went for a leadership program at Harvard University, and that also challenged me. And I took the risk and got the support of the leadership of my party then, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So let the women decide first. Do you want to do it? If you want to do it, understand the peculiarity of your environment. The challenge in Lagos might be different from the challenge in Adamawa, might be different from the challenge in Abia, or, you know, it varies from state to state, but you must study your environment first and foremost. What I did was that for 4 months, I went to Ikorodu, was attending ward meetings, was attending party meetings before I took a decision. So I didn't just get up and say, okay, I want to do it. I was part of the community for 4 months. I was meeting with the market women, the groundnut sellers, the kola nut sellers, the rural women, you know, the welders associations, the taxi drivers association, the various groups, the elders, the youths, before I took a decision. So it's important to convince yourself it's what you want to do. A lot of women tell me, oh, we're afraid. You can't continue to be afraid. The job you're doing now also has its hazards. I've been locked up once while filming a bad road in Lagos. I was locked up as a journalist. So there's no profession without its hazards. But if it's in you, the men are not going to just step aside and say, come take it. It's not going to happen. So women, we have to get together and bring up our best. 2, pressure must be on political parties to set aside a certain number for women in their parties. And they cannot tell me there are no qualified women. But you know what? The women too must come out. The women in this hall today, the elitist women, the professional women, they've been successful in their careers. They can be successful in politics. And I know that, you know, when I went into politics, some people felt, are you okay? It's dirty. I'll say, well, if you're dirty, you play dirty. And thank God, 12 years after, I refused to play dirty. And I've seen women who have said, we got involved because we saw someone like you doing it. And for those of us that are already in it, as you succeed, you encourage others to succeed. So really, first thing is, take that decision. Study your environment. You have to belong to a political party. Your voice must be heard. You know, in a gathering of several, you're perhaps one of the few women that your voice must be heard. You have to make a difference. You have to do things the woman way, you know, and show them that. And another thing I say that is being done a certain way by men. Let's try this way by women, but it's not going to be they're not going to shift away for you as a woman. You have to fight for it. You have to struggle for it legitimately, decently, and with all sense of purpose. And I keep saying again, there's no alternative to hard work. Work hard in whatever it is you're doing. Get into politics, put in your best. Again, you don't have to contest for an elective position, but get involved, get registered to vote, ask questions. Imagine in your community, you hold whoever is your leaders or your elected representatives responsible. You are up there asking them, what have you done? ABC, they cannot ignore you. So from there, you move on. So really, it's about us, and there are a lot of mentoring. Like this is a mentoring session, a lot of mentoring. Let's share ideas. What did I do right? What did I do wrong to help, those ones that are trying to do it. So mentoring is very, very critical.
Yes. I mean, about over 50% of Nigeria's population are women. We've been in politics now for over 12 years. How was the support you enjoyed, especially from women?
My first line of support actually came from the women. Well, you can say the grassroots women. So I enjoy support from the women. You see, I think all these women not supporting one another is more of a cliche that we're made to believe in. In the House of Representatives, we were 24 when I was there, or 25, out of 360. If anything happens between the 25, you're likely to notice, but you wouldn't notice what happens amongst 300 men. Imagine there are 300 women and 60 men. The attention will be more on the men. So it's because we're few in number. So I have an argument with you, everybody notices, whereas the two men just blew themselves up and nobody noticed. So let's be caught in that cliche. You want to go into politics, I'm ready to encourage you wherever I can, whatever I can do to support you, because you know what? I'm probably helping myself too. Because I see you grow, I look back and say, oh, thank God I played a role in her life. So it's not something we should bother too much about. Go out there. Anybody will try to bring you down. It doesn't have to be women. It could be anybody. Go out there, look for positive people and align with positive people, be they men or women. So let's forget about that cliche. What do you want to do? How do you want to go about it? What are your priorities? What is your vision in life? And then you go ahead and take a risk.
Take a risk. Can you give us any hints as to your next political move?
First, I'm proud that I was part of a winning team. We have a president that I believe will work. He will bring about change in Nigeria. So my political move right now is to ensure the success of my party. The success of the president is my success. I played a major role. I was part of the campaign. I know everything, the policy. So I just want to ensure that President Buhari succeeds in whatever way I can. And I'm already doing that in whatever capacity I find myself. I'm a member of the board of trustees of APC, and I'm just working with my party to ensure that the president succeeds. And everything doesn't have to be political. I want to focus on my mentoring program for girls, because I think it's very critical. I have about 40 girls that I mentor. I want to make it more structured. Let's see young girls go. We keep saying, where are the youth? Let's mentor them and see how many of them can actually rise through that. So even the sky won't be the limit.
She is the founder of Christian Missionary Fund, a non-governmental body dedicated to raising support for Christian missionaries across the country. She is also the chairman, Board of Trustees of Women in Management and Business, WIMBIZ, as well as the chairman of Intermark, the organizers of Smart Card Conference in Nigeria.
In Nigeria, the representation of women has improved marginally, though it's still very low compared to what obtains in other countries, especially in the developed nations. Many countries of the world have been making efforts to bridge the gap between men and women in leadership positions, whether in politics or on corporate boards.
I think we've come from a long way. I think there are a lot more women in various boards right now. There are a lot more women at senior executive levels. We still have a lot we can do. So obviously, we're moving in the right direction, and we just need to keep the tempo. And I believe that we will get. I mean, the other thing is, when you look at organizations like WIMBIZ, there is deliberate action to build the capacity that is missing, that women need in order to sit on boards. And that makes it easier for companies not to have the excuse of, I can't find the right women. So I think we're moving in the right direction.
Speaking about building capacity, WIMBIZ has a program called the WIM Board, that is they prepare women to be to sit on boards. So now, when that woman finally gets there, what are the things that she can look out for? Number one, in terms of building herself, and number two, in terms of choosing which boards to sit on.
Okay, first and foremost, I think any woman that will sit on any board, whether she's an accountant, she's a lawyer, she's a doctor, she must be able to read financial statements. So she needs to gain some specific knowledge about that. You also need a broad knowledge, you know. No matter what industry the board represents, you must have a general business knowledge. So I think it's good education for every woman that can to get an MBA if they can, or at least make yourself knowledgeable about issues. Read Financial Times, read The Economist, read all of those things that keep you abreast of issues around the world. Listen to business news and be on top of issues. That helps to give you a perspective and a view about stuff like that. But when you talk about women choosing boards to sit, the bottom line is you need to sit on boards that their value system aligns with yours. And that means you don't get carried away with just the thought of sitting on a board. You want to find out who else is on that board. You want to find out what are the core values of that organization. What are the kind of, how do they operate? How do they perform? How do they care for their workers, their staff, their shareholders, all of those things? Because when people invite you to their board, they're trading on your credibility if you have. And if you don't take care that you do your due diligence, then you're expending credibility if things go wrong. So it's important that you do the due diligence for yourself because you want to protect your personal brand and what it is that you believe in. That for me is important.
Yes. I mean, you're on the board of 3 different companies and you also have a passion for your country. I've seen you do a couple of mentorship programs. So tell me, what are your criteria for choosing a mentee, or what will you see? What will attract you to a mentee?
I think for me, it's about seeing someone who is focused on doing something of value. If I find people who want to do something, they're driven, they're committed, they look serious and all of that, but they need a little help, I love to pay it forward. Because I think that at the right points in time in my life, there were people also who held my hands and explained things to me so I could understand better, and that allowed me to perform better. And so I always try to find the time to help somebody else coming up the ladder to get the right perspective, right information, maybe sometimes right contacts, and just guide them in the right way to go.
Has there been any area of your life that has had to suffer because of the pressure and the demands from your career life?
I think when you, well, let's put it this way. I was lucky to marry the right guy. So my husband is a fantastic support and a great encourager. I believe that he takes more pride in who I am or what I do than even I do myself. And he's allowed me the space to be myself. And with that comes responsibility. I don't take it for granted. So I also have to do what I know is I have to do. I'm a mother to my children in every way. And I believe that first, my family clearly understands my life. And I make my entire household a stakeholder in my life. And I deliver value when I'm needed. So in a way, we're a team. My husband, myself, and my children, and we work well together. And God has helped us to make it work.
I want to talk about the glass ceiling that everybody talks about all the time. You've been able to rise above it. So what other advice can you give to other women out there who are aiming for that glass ceiling?
Well, I think that for each one of us, whatever it is we choose to do, we should do it the best way we know how. And we must consistently do it well. Ultimately, if you continue to do what you do well, people will notice. And when you get your opportunity, prove that the trust and the faith that they have in you, in giving you that opportunity that you earn, that you deserve it, by performing on the job. You know, the issue of women or men is a fine line. Anybody that will want to trust their organization to you want people that can deliver. And if you deliver, gender goes out of the window. It becomes an issue of performance. So it's about making sure you're prepared, taking the opportunities when they come, and using the opportunities well to show that you can do the right thing, and doing it because it's the right thing to do. Once you create value for your stakeholders and those you have to deal with, I think the rest takes care of itself.